have lights on, but it's just, I don't know why it's so dark in here. I don't know. I mean, there's lights, but it's just really dark. I tried to mess around with some settings here, but it's just not working. And it was clear as a bell a couple weeks ago. But yeah, it's just,
Well, we can still see. That's better.
yeah, I don't know what it's.
Hello there.
Hello, Miss Black.
You look like you're in the dark tonight too.
I am in the dark tonight. Would you like me to turn the lights on?
No, you don't have to turn the lights on. I just so it's always funny the way you recline there, and it looks like you have. Do you have like a tray ceiling behind you?
I do.
Okay.
Yeah, it looks like a moonroof.
It looks like a moonroof, so it looks like you're in this airplane, like really comfy airplane.
Oh, yeah, I can see the one you're looking at. Yeah. That's in the kitchen.
So we literally just got off the call workshop, and I did a Zoom right before that. So I've been eating dinner like in sessions.
Okay.
So that was my third and final session.
I haven't gotten that far yet.
My plate is gone.
I'll turn the overhead lights on so you can see me better.
You don't need to turn lights on, but it's nice to see you. How'd your stuff go tonight?
It went really good. You know me, I hate like recognition of any kind. And people were like, I had people trying to like give me tips for bringing them groceries. They're like, here, let me give you something for, and I'm like, no, that's not what this is all about.
Wow.
I appreciate it, but so it was good. There's a lot of people that are just afraid to go out.
Yep.
You know, older people, and there's some people with, you know, going through chemo. So obviously they don't have very healthy immune systems, and, you know, the spouse doesn't want to go out and get sick and bring it home. So
So
it's kind of a little band got together in the neighborhood and said, you know, let's see if there's anybody we can help. And so
awesome.
It was nice.
Yeah, that's
Made me
awesome.
feel good.
Yeah,
Made me feel good.
it's awesome. Meanwhile, we're in an apartment complex where we keep getting notices of this is shut down, and this is shut down, and this is shut down, and do not touch this, and do not touch that. And
Yeah, it's kind of
So-
like that everywhere.
yeah, we are quarantined into our apartment.
Yep. No school for 2 weeks, and my grandson went to the playground today and broke his finger. So guess what I'm doing tomorrow? Tomorrow I'm going to the doctor's.
Put your mask on before you go there.
I know, right?
Oh, well, how's everybody else doing? Carl, I didn't get to talk to you on the last two calls. I just kind of saw you.
Yeah, I mean, I haven't spoke to my wife since I've been home, but I know as of this morning, we were still planning on coming down to Florida Thursday. So I'm not sure how that's going to work.
Well, I can tell you this, Lori got home, Lori, who is the flight attendant, got home from her cruise on Sunday, and from out of the country. They did let her back in. There was talk that they weren't going to let them back in off the cruise because they were out of the country, but they did let them back in. And she is actually showing up for work tomorrow because she's been told that she is still flying to Puerto Rico tomorrow.
Oh, okay.
So I was kind of surprised by that, but Southwest her flights are only, what did she say, 30% full?
Mm-hmm.
I think she has 70 people on her flight tomorrow and like 72 to Chicago the next day.
Wow.
Yeah, I'm afraid that if we fly down there Thursday, that they put a travel ban on all domestic flights, and then we'll be stuck in Florida.
Oh,
There could be worse places to be stuck.
Right?
I agree. Pip's brother and sister-in-law are in Marco Island for 2 weeks, and they drove, but still they're a little concerned of whether they'll be able to get back. And we're like, what are you concerned about? You're in Marco Island.
Exactly. Yeah, so I mean, I'm going to be in Indian Rocks Beach, which isn't really a high travel spot. I mean, it's not really a touristy area.
Yes, it is.
Well, it is, but it isn't.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not like Miami or Daytona Beach or Cocoa Beach, or because they've, I guess, shut those beaches down.
Right. They shut Miami Beach down.
Hmm.
So, but I haven't heard anything about Indian Rocks Beach or any of the Clearwater beaches or St. Pete beaches being closed down yet.
Right.
But
So,
you might have the beach to yourself because there's not a lot of spring breakers here.
that's okay.
So very good. Well, it is 9 o'clock. So let me go ahead and, oh, I guess it already is recording. Oh, great. Okay.
Yeah, that's what we did that last time,
Yeah.
and we ended up turning it off.
Yeah, I forget that it records as soon as we log in, so we'll have to change that. Looks like Laura got out of her meeting. So, very good. So, I guess we can start. Hello.
That was the official start.
That was the official start. So, what we wanted to do is just kind of highlight a couple of things that are happening and give you some insights that are happening across the company right now. And then obviously open it up because we want to hear, how things are going for you guys. And we've been teaching the approaches, excuse me, teaching the approaches and how to, I just realized Yolanda's missing too. I know Yolanda was just on the other call with us.
I know, and the ladies that I had sent the message to, they haven't responded yet.
Okay. But anyway, so there's been obviously some shift going on and some changes, but the beautiful thing of all of this is that we are an online company. So the beauty is we're already set up. I don't want to say we're set up for what we're going through because no one's set up for what we're going through, but we are set up for what we're going through because we already have access to Zoom. We have access to GoToWebinar and GoToMeeting, whatever it is that you want access to. We are an online company. So the beautiful thing is the company has basically, as of today at about 5 o'clock, we have taken all meetings online for the next 8 weeks based on the restrictions that have been put out of no meetings over 10 people. So that does not mean we can't meet with people in small little groups to do, little wellness events or HBPs. We're supposed to be having a wellness event on Saturday. We'll make that determination tomorrow as to whether we have enough people who are willing to come out for it. But our feelings are, as well as the person that's leading it, is people need what we have, and why not do a wellness event? This is a perfect time to do it. Mm-hmm. So we're still planning to go to Cocoa Beach on Saturday to do that, but if it doesn't happen, we will then move it to Zoom. And if we move it to Zoom, we will announce it to all of you because that would mean then it's open to all of you to invite guests. But the thing is, there's nothing like a live wellness event where you have communication amongst everybody. There's obviously more energy when you're live in a room together. So via Zoom, we will do it a little bit differently. We'll want to utilize some of you with your stories because if it's just somebody speaking, that's not going to do it. I mean, that's not what a wellness event is about. It is about sharing. So we would want to make sure we have enough people sharing. So we'll just want to, if we do this one on Zoom, or even if it's not this one, we will be doing more wellness events on Zoom in the coming weeks. And as we do that, we would want to hear if you're going to participate, let us know, because we would want to make sure that we get all of you to share your stories at some point so that we make it interactive. So yes, Maria.
Is regional still on?
That is a very good question.
Predetermined.
That is a very good question. Based on what I was told on our TLS trainer, is all meetings for the next 8 weeks will be taken online or changed in some format. I don't know what has happened with regional yet because I have not gotten that word. But I do know my TLS training for March 28th will be online. So Maria, you can find.
Does that mean I can attend?
You can attend. You were the first person I thought of. I was like, she's tried how many times?
Yes.
Yes.
Finally.
Finally. So it will be online. And that will be that. So I'll be getting the information out about that tomorrow. I have to obviously promote that all of it's changed around, but anyway, so that's that. And so I just want to, Pip and I have been looking, do you want to talk about all this stuff that we were talking about the other night?
Yeah. Hey, I'm in camera now. We talked about it a couple weeks ago about being careful with politics and making sure you're not really leaving people out or offending people who might be on your team or you might be attracting. We just want another reminder because times like this, there's a tendency to throw opinions out there real fast. We all have them, and that's okay. And obviously you have a constitutional right to say whatever you want, but it doesn't make it a smart business decision. We're trying to be inclusive to everybody. I know it's a political season. I know there's a lot of heated opinions one way or the other, and everyone thinks they're right. But going on Facebook's not going to change anybody. It's not going to change someone else to say, you know what, I've been wrong all these years and you're right, and I'm coming over to your side. So with that in mind, and this being a business where we're trying to be attractive to everybody, let's try to be very careful about political opinions. And I know sometimes things get said and they might be borderline because, your political side has to do with values. So sometimes what you say, you're thinking it's just based on my values, and other people might interpret it to be political. All I'm trying to say is we've seen some people who probably said some things on Facebook to people they shouldn't have said because quite honestly, it was their own team, and they were basically negating what their teammate said and started to say basically their teammate was wrong. And so what we want to do is just try and stop that. I mean, I know we all have opinions, and that's cool. That's great. This is the US. We're all entitled to them. And we all know we're right. But, engaging your own teammate is probably not the best way to go about this.
So a tough topic every 4 years that we come around to this. But just, and the thing is, you want to make sure that you are talking to your team members as well, because what happens is if it doesn't get carried over, people just don't think about it, and they see somebody post something and they just post their own idea, and then it turns into not good for.
Yeah, feelings get hurt easily.
Yeah.
And when it's your own team that you're doing it to, it's really not wise.
So putting that aside and moving on, we did our first call workshop tonight. And I know not everyone was able to be on, but Carl and Yolanda and myself were able to get on with Laura Bymark, who runs it, and 3 other women. So there were 7 of us. In 30 minutes, and I say 30, it was probably more like 28 minutes, we made 53 calls that we actually made those dials or those texts. So 53 calls or texts. We booked 12 appointments out of 7 people. Not one person, I'm sorry, I think there were 2 people that asked, what is it? And no one, I think it was, Carl, was it nobody said no?
I got a not at this time because she was a nurse. Yeah, so there was a couple of no's. Yeah, she was a nurse, so she was working, 12 to 15 hours a day. So she said I could circle back with her in a month or 2.
But see, I look at that and say, that's not really a no. A circle
Right.
back means not right now.
Right.
You got one no? You're on mute.
Sorry. I got one no, just because she had so much going on and she just wasn't really interested at this time at all. So,
Very good.
which is fine.
So I can tell you personally, and I'd like Carl and Yolanda to talk about their experience, because I think for myself personally, I know if I did not, and Carl, I have you to thank for this, and Yolanda, because you pushed me. If I did not get on this call workshop, I would never, ever in today, with everything that was going on today, I would never have made 7 calls.
Mhm.
I made 7 calls tonight and I booked 4 appointments. And I would not have done that if I weren't pushed to do it. So there's so much in this for us to be able to force ourselves to get the things done that need to be done. I knew I had to send that list to Carl and Laura. And so I did. I mean, this afternoon I was running around like a crazy woman with a lot of things because we're driving to Georgia tomorrow to get some stuff out of storage because all of our stuff is in storage. So we have no supplies here. So we're driving to Georgia tomorrow, and that's a 6-hour drive there, 6-hour drive back. So we've been running around like crazy today, and I've had all these calls with corporate, and I had 3 webinars today, and it would have been very easy for me to just go, but because I had to send that list to Carl, I put that list together, and I looked down that list, and I got on that phone call, I got on that Zoom, and I saw these other people, and I was like, dang, I got to make these calls. So thank you. It forced me to do it. So I'd like you guys to share. Laura, I see that your hand is raised. Do you have a question?
And just a comment is that I couldn't be on the call workshop, which I really wanted to do. However, it did push me to do my own text campaign during our business seminar tonight. And I reached out to people I'd contacted in the past, and not so much of, well, business and product. And I just used the Dr. Nancy Blattner Zoom that's coming up tomorrow night. And I just prefaced that and, you know, how's your family doing, et cetera, whatever little thing that I had previously talked about. And so far I've gotten 3 yeses that they will be on the webinar.
Yay.
Yeah. So, you know, and I just went through my phone and just said, this is a time that people need education, and it may not be you, but someone you know might be searching for this information. So please, you know, pass it on, and also my number in case they have questions.
Love it. I love that you took the traditional evaluation approach, but put the spin on it for health and wellness.
Right.
Love it. Awesome.
So, but I don't know that I would have done that as intensely if I didn't know that you all were doing the call workshop.
I know it forces us to do the things
Yeah.
we know have to be done, because it's so easy to push it aside.
Oh, so easy.
And Carl, you've been doing it the longest in terms of getting on consistently every week with Laura. Can you give any of your insights as to what you're learning from this evaluation approach, and just share?
Before convention, you know, we got together and we did a few, but it wasn't as, you know, die hard, I guess you can say. And now since convention, we've been trying to do it just about every Monday. And even tonight, you know, we had such a busy night, even with our, you know, webinars. Laura had that new prospect, and we squeezed him in there. And then, you know, we kind of delayed our call workshop, but we still had that 30 minutes to, you know, make those phone calls. We could have easily called off the call workshop because of this prospect that Laura had, but we just squeezed it all in. And I found that, you know, myself last week, I had a prospect that I met with, and during that Monday, I met with a prospect and I do the call workshop, and I'm like, okay, I'm going to make these calls. And I never really got back to making those calls because I didn't have everybody else, you know, with that 30-minute pressure. Okay, we're going to be getting back on the phone and asking one another, okay, how many calls did you make? How many yeses did you get? How many no's? I mean, it's, you know, you want to have some yeses to report back to the team. I enjoy it. I mean, it's making me call some of these people that I haven't spoke to in a while too. So, and just touching base with them and reconnecting and just seeing how they are and how their family is and kids and stuff. So yeah, I find it very, very, very good to do it as a collective team.
It's, I'll just say this. One of the women that I called from back in Georgia, who we weren't friends with, but we were very friendly with, if that makes sense. She actually was the director of the rec center where we used to go and work out. And she had purchased some products here and there from us, but wasn't consistent. And when I called her tonight, she said, "You have been on my mind for the last 4 days, and I don't know why, but I've thought of you each of the last 4 days. I've thought of you and Pip and just wondered, how are you guys doing?" And she goes, "And then you texted me tonight." So again, I mean, just that reconnect was incredible to be able to just reconnect. And we had a really nice conversation, and I booked her into Wednesday night's webinar overview. So, and again, her husband's retiring this week because of health issues. So you never know. I mean, I don't know if it's going to be for them or not, but I know she knows a ton of people. So that was the approach I took. So again, thanks, Carl. Appreciate the push.
Oh, thank you.
Yolanda.
I definitely appreciate the accountability. It's nice to have that, and it is nice to see you go into. I've done it where I've made the calls myself, and just the nerves that I guess I get myself this. I get into this anxiety about making the calls, and even though I have the script and I know what I'm saying, and it's it's the same thing I'm doing, but it was a lot less pressure this time because I can look up and see the faces right there in front of me, even though we're muted. I'm like, okay, I can do this. So it was just like my Wonder Woman kind of. I can do it.
Power pose.
So, yeah. So it definitely was kind of nice. Now I do need to. What I realized tonight is that I need to go and rearrange my names list. So when I send my next 10, I was having to text folks that I hadn't communicated in such a long time. So I need to just move it around where there's a little more folks that are, I mean, I guess you would consider hot, but not for me, but just people that I've communicated at least within the last 6 months as opposed to a couple of years. So.
One, I think that's a very good point to be taken, is that we need to make sure we're reaching out to people who we have some connection with. Because if you just reach out, like I haven't talked to the woman from Georgia. I haven't talked to her since we moved, which was last April, but we knew her quite well. So, and she bought product from me. So she knew we had a business. So I'm not using the exact script that obviously you're using new. But so I've had to rework the script a little bit for myself, but I still use the same basic script. And just to be able to add to that, Pip and I have been working very hard this past week and a half. We've taken all of the scripts that are on BB411 because there's so many, and there's like 7 of them. And we have brought them all, I've printed all of them out, and we've been reworking and bringing them all together to be able to have one evaluation script process so that it will all be on one sheet, so that as you move forward and you bring people on board, you know what to give them. So you don't have this sheet for this sheet for that. What's happened is just over time, as we had new things or we had new ways of doing it, we would just kind of add another sheet. But we're streamlining all of that. So I worked very hard on getting that on paper yesterday. And now I started typing it up before my 6 o'clock webinar. And I will now finish that up hopefully tonight before we go to bed, because I'd like to get it posted. I don't know if it will be posted, and we're going to take all the others down off of BB411 and just put this one up. At the very least, even if we don't get it posted, I will send it to all of you so that you have it, so you can start using it to learn it and work with it. But
can I share? I was looking just on YouTube, because I know we have a lot of stuff out there, and I found a YouTube video from Ryan Stack that talked about call workshop, and he did a really good job in just kind of explaining like the 4 things that he does, and that really also prepped me for tonight. That was very easy. But one of the things that he mentioned, and I don't know if this is something that you guys do, Carl, in your group, or if anyone else does, but he talked about, we always used to or we start off with, you may or may not be interested. He eliminated that and did more of a ask permission via text. So basically, the person knows ahead of time that you're going to call to ask a question. And you never give them the out of may or may not, because the may give them the out. You just say, I have a question to ask. You're extremely busy, and you dismiss them. I know that this is not going to be for you. You're extremely busy, but I really respect. And then you go on and say, this is what I need. I need for you to evaluate this and look at it. And it's only going to take 45 minutes, and that's it. And I have this time and this time. And it was actually pretty clear, because I think the may or may not almost gives that wiggle room. And even for me, it almost gives me a sense of insecurity too. And I'm asking, like, oh, I know they're not going to be. So that was actually kind of nice.
Well, and I think that's why you'll see when I write this script, and as you and I talked about earlier this afternoon, you've got to look through the script, and you can't force everybody to follow an exact script. A script is really just an outline, a guideline, because we all have different personalities, and what feels comfortable to Yolanda might not feel comfortable to Maria, or vice versa. So you have to find within what you're doing, and then almost write your own script within the guidelines. And then run it by, like I always say, run it up the flagpole. If you run it up and you've done it with 3 or 4 people on a call and you're not getting good results, then it might be that something you're saying isn't working for you. So I always say, because there's people who say it may or may not be a fit, and there's other people that say it the way you're saying it, Yolanda, of, I know this probably is not something for you, but I know that you could probably lead me to the right people. So you just have to find that. You also see on it, it is now recommended, and we've been doing this for a while, to do a text first, because I wrote on the sheet, if this is somebody you normally call, don't text them and ask for permission to call them. But most of us don't call a lot of people nowadays. We text first. So the first text, and that's what I did tonight. I mean, some of these people who the lady from White County, I texted her first and said, hey, I have a question to run by you. Do you have a moment that I could give you a call? And she wrote back, sure. And so she was my next call then. So everyone, I didn't text everyone. There were certain people tonight that I texted first. And I started by texting, and then I started calling the ones. And as those people who I texted back, I then called them. So you just have to kind of go with the flow of who's what's right for the relationship that you have.
And keep in mind too, that everybody has a different personality. And, we've talked on different calls about personality styles and how you approach a red, a yellow, a blue kind of thing. Everyone's going to be different. But one of the things that we go back and forth on, and I just want to touch on this since we're talking about the scripts, is a lot of times, people say the scripts aren't me, or I can't say those things. And then we look and say, okay, well, we'll try and change some words and wordsmith it a little bit. But then we'll hear from someone else who says, when I talk to people, I don't know what to say. And it's kind of a catch-22, is we don't want to come up with a script that you have to follow word for word. But on the other hand, people say, I need something to say because I'll talk to people and I don't know what to say. So then we're saying, okay, well, here's a script. And then someone else says, but that's not how I talk. And so we're always in this situation of, it's not you, it is you kind of thing. All the scripts is a guideline for you to look at and say, okay, I can use this, or these are words that I would say, or that doesn't sound at all like me. And you kind of come up with your own that's similar. It's just a way to try and get you started, or to get other people started if it's not you. But that's kind of the stuff that we deal with, is we put all these scripts out there, and now there's too many, and I get that, but we kept putting them out there because people kept saying, I don't know what to say. And so we add another script, and
Well,
it's a catch-22.
It is.
And we end up with then way too many, and then no one knows where to go.
But in the same light, what happens is we know other leaders in the business that say, this is the script we're using and it's working for everybody. And this is exactly what everybody on the team is doing. But then we have friends of people that are on their team and they go, oh, we don't follow that script that she's talking about or that he's talking about. We changed it up to be this. So what we've learned from all of this over the years is that exactly what Pip said is everyone's personality is different. And that's why I pull up the slide. How many of you were able to get on the Zoom local seminar that happened in Southwest Florida on Saturday? Okay, so Laura and Yolanda, you both saw this then. This came from the Southwest local, and what's cool is, I mean, here's the thing, we can't, there's nothing to replace face-to-face as we talked about, but the fact that we're doing all these Zooms for somebody like Maria, for somebody like Yolanda, who are hours and hours away from a local seminar, you're able to actually Zoom in and get local seminars. Now they're gonna have to come up with a way that people are buying tickets for the seminars, because obviously it's not fair that somebody bought a $30 ticket to go to a seminar and then somebody got on for free. So they're trying to work all that out. But this was one of the things, and I just put this up here because this is part of the reason there is no exact script to be used by everyone, because all of us are different personalities. And then the person you're talking to or calling to book that appointment with is a different personality. And so if you just look at this, it's kind of fun because you look at somebody like a red who likes to be in charge versus a blue who likes to have, likes to have fun. Your conversation is going to be different because if I'm a blue and I'm all about fun, 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 and I get to a red like Pip and I say, hey, and I say, we're going to have a lot of fun. Let's get together. There's going to be a lot of people there for you to meet. And he's thinking, I'm not showing up to that at all. I have no interest. So we have to be cognizant of who are we calling and what kinds of words are we using. Because if I'm talking to a Yolanda, I am going for the fun word. I watched her make her calls tonight. You want to talk about, I looked at the screen and she's making her calls and she's sitting there going, and I'm like, that is so Yolanda. I love it.
Beth, did they download that?
Did they download what?
This color-coded script?
They downloaded the recording of the Zoom, and I took a picture of this when they were, I took a picture of it. So that's why it says, that's why it looks the way it does, because it was a picture from the webinar.
Are they going to share the sorry.
About scripts, they're used across industries and it comes with practice. I mean, even in the insurance industry, when you start out, you're given a script. Each company has their script. They're all pretty similar. And it's never your own words, but it becomes your own language the more you use it. And same thing with phone solicitors. When you hear a phone solicitor, when they're new and when they're seasoned, because it sounds, the seasoned phone solicitors, it sounds just like they're talking to you, but it's a script. And you can tell the new ones, you can tell they're reading it. Mm-hmm. So it's like anything, you have to practice it, and then it in turn becomes natural and yours. So don't be so quick to change it, saying, "Oh, that feels a little uneasy," or I really wouldn't say it that way, because there's the psychology behind the scripts. So sometimes you don't want to deviate too much. You just need to practice and use it more so you actually believe what you're saying, and it feels natural.
I completely agree. And I just say that when you do hear somebody else who is doing something, you just always want to look and say, is it authentic growth that they're having? Or are you following somebody that is getting growth like this and then falls off? Because we've seen that a lot in our 24 years here. And then what's so sad is people go, I'm going to follow this way of doing it because they're getting immediate growth. And then when that person crashes and burns, you realize you wasted time. And we've been there. What Pip and I talk about when we train in our local is that's called the flavor of the month. You go to a
Right.
new seminar, you hear a new way of doing it, and you think that person is having grand success, and all of a sudden you change everything and go, okay, I need to do it this way. And then you go to the
Right.
next local seminar and go, I need to do it this way. I need to do it this way. And we're trying so hard to give you what's
Yeah.
working for the people who have been around the longest and have had tried and true consistent success. We're not teaching or giving you things that had success back when and they're not working now. And we're not giving you things that people think are working now and then all of a sudden they fall off. We're giving you things that are still working. So when we put out this script, again, remember it is a guideline. If there's something that you go, oh, I'm not comfortable saying that, then ask about it of how it could maybe be reworded instead of just rewording it yourself. Because like Laura, you just talked about, what we find is people, and I'm as guilty of this as anybody, I used to do this. I would reword it and go, oh, I can't say that. And I would reword it to what I thought it should be, but then I didn't get any results from it. And the reason I didn't get results is because there's a psychology, like Laura said, behind the way it's written. And even though I wasn't comfortable with it, I had to learn it to make it a part of me. And the only way I was able to learn it to make it a part of me was taking the actions by making the calls and booking the appointments. So anybody else have any thing that they can share with experiences, successes, failures?
No, I was just saying, I know you guys have been doing this, so I apologize if I'm just kind of excited right now if I'm restarting it. But the
Go
trial
for it.
sampling, I mean, that we didn't do back when I was doing the business. I kind of been gone, for 2 years, Beth, about not working the business. And that wasn't an opportunity. I know that they just kind of came up with those little samples, but that has worked. I followed up with someone tonight and he wants to do the nutrophysical to see what he should order but it's potential, which is great, which very surprised. Again, that's new to me just because the packets came out after I didn't work the business. So.
And so just to give you guys a little history, Laura's been here almost as long as we have. We had trial size marketing years ago before shop.com, but it was take our isotonics and pour it into little bottles and give somebody a bottle. So it wasn't like pre-sealed, which back in the day, people trusted that. If you tried to open up a bottle and pour something in it now, people would be like, oh, no.
Thermochrome.
Yeah, thermochrome. We used to open the container and empty a couple thermochrome and put them in somebody's hand. Here, take these. So the stick packs have been a great way to bring that trial marketing back that we lost when shop.com came on board and our focus was more on shop.com. So Yolanda, you kind of entered the business in the shop.com days. And we kind of lost the trial marketing because it was no longer cool to pour something into a bottle for somebody to try. And so now with the stick packs, obviously it's made it super, super easy. Yeah, that's that shelf over there is our sample shelf.
We have all of our samples, all of our stick packs, all the things that we throw in with our orders. We have trim tea, trim cafe, turn down,
Choice bars.
enzymes, daily essentials. All of that can be thrown in.
I'm just interested to know what the other people, how their successful they've been, because they obviously been working it with these.
Say that again. Wait, you were cut now.
I'm just interested to see how the other folks are doing with the trial size marketing on our team.
Well, I got my first collagen order this last week from a man.
Oh, wow.
Wow.
Nice.
Joint pain. Actually, he's a young guy too. He's in his mid.
Is he a runner or is it for skin or what?
Joint pain.
Oh, okay.
So did you give him just one trial? How did you trial it?
I actually gave him one to taste it because I had put a post on about the collagen challenge and he responded to that post about he was taking a powdered collagen for joint pain. And he goes, boy, it's a pain mixing that powder when I'm in a hurry in the morning or, he said it would just be nice to have something. So I sent him a link to go look at, if he wanted to look at more information. And he texted me 2 days later and he goes, I'm going to give this a try. Should I just go to your website and order it? And I'm like, I happen to have some here. I'll drop it off for you. So
Awesome.
Awesome.
Very good.
Congratulations. All because you did the collagen challenge that you
Collagen
didn't have to
challenge,
do.
yes.
So here's the thing, Maria, you should probably go into your collagen challenge and tag somebody else here. Like go in and tag Yolanda so that Yolanda will then have a reason to do it because it will show that, and she can go, I was tagged by, and she can do the collagen challenge. The only thing is, Yolanda, do you have collagen there yet?
I don't have any.
You don't have it. So obviously,
Don't tag her.
don't tag her until she has it.
I will put it on my list.
Yeah.
But I didn't.
Who
I mean,
has
I
it
don't
and
need-
wants to be tagged?
I do.
Okay.
But what I know, I kind of saw a little bit while I was at work watching the the World Conference. But yeah, I know. But what are the main benefits or some of the quick benefits of that? Because that one's a pricier one. So just wondering when you're promoting it,
Skin,
Maria, what?
skin elasticity, hair, nails, and it can be useful for the joints, for people with joint discomfort, especially now this guy had an injury, but for older people, as you age, your body doesn't produce as much collagen. So that's why you a lot of times get that joint discomfort.
Also intestinal health,
Yes, gut health.
gut health. Yeah.
People helping people.
I love it. I love it. Laura, were you going to say something before?
Yeah, I was. I had given I kind of went down just to one packet of something instead of the 3 days. I really didn't have success with the Daily Essentials trial. People weren't seeing it through and it just kind of got frustrating. And I was following the format, verbatim. So I went down to just like one packet at a time. And Beth, I think I told you briefly about this story. I had an air conditioning guy out here for that monthly, the bi-yearly service, they come out maintenance. And he said he was studying because he was going to open up his own air conditioning business. And he said he was up against the finance, all the numbers, economic part of the test. And he was scared to death because I don't know how I'm even going to focus on it. And I gave him a turnip. And I said, well, try this. And I said, maybe you want to try it before, see how you feel while you're studying. He goes, oh no, I'm saving it for the test. And I never heard from him, and I had texted him and nothing. And things fell off, and that was in September. And, we started the call workshop last week, but then that didn't go through. I thought, well, I need to make some calls. So I was going through numbers and papers, and I found his number by accident because I really had misplaced it. And I said, I'm just going to call. I did not have a script, nothing. And he answered. I said, Eric? And he said, oh my gosh. He goes, thank you for calling me. He said, I don't know what I did with your number. And he said, I passed my test. I now own my own AC business. And if it wasn't for that turnip, I wouldn't have gotten through that test. He goes, I know it. And in the meantime, he had also talked to me about his 5-year-old daughter. We got back in conversation about that. And tonight, he's going on my website to order some DNA Miracle product. And I also put him in touch with Dr. Dwight Franklin because his daughter is having a lot of trouble. So I talked to Dwight first, and then he said, no, have them call me now. And so they're probably still talking now. So, and that's all because I found that little crumpled up paper actually approaching to do my taxes. And I thought, okay, I didn't do the call workshop the night before. And, he was just sitting there waiting for me to call or get back to him. And his wife was literally in tears tonight that we had reconnected.
Nothing
So-
happens by accident.
That's right. So, you know, I'm hoping this little girl's going to get relief and they'll be a happier family unit. And then, you know, we'll see, one step at a time.
Nice.
Awesome.
Mhm.
Awesome. We're helping people. We have such a helping business. Anybody else have anything they'd like to share tonight?
We've been working on trying to get some people to watch the webinar tomorrow night with Dr. Nancy Miller-Eagley. So I sent out, reached out to 15 people today, and I've heard back from 6 of those. And of the 6, 4 of them are planning to be on the webinar tomorrow night.
Good.
We also reconnected with an old customer Sunday who she'd kind of disappeared because her dad has been really sick and he lives like 3 or 4 hours away from here. So we saw her Sunday and she was so excited to see us. She said, my phone died and I had to get a new phone and I lost all my contact information. So she said, I didn't know what I did with your stuff. So she was kind of a regular customer that had just kind of dropped off, but she didn't ever order online. She always contacted me directly and came by and picked it up. She said, I kept thinking about coming by your house, but I didn't want to drop in without calling first. And I said, well, you could have, but I understand her not wanting to do that. So, and then Saturday, was that Saturday? We went to get new phones Saturday because mine was dying, and apparently buying a new phone now is kind of like buying a new car. And the girl kept disappearing into the back to talk to the manager, and she came out and she asked me what was the bottom line payment that I wanted. I said, honey, I am not trying to buy a new car. I just want to know how much your phone is and what your rebates and things are right now, because I've been reading and I've been investigating this before I came into the store because I wanted to see kind of what was available. So I pretty much know what you got. I just want you to tell me that you can give me that, So the manager comes out because I'm giving the poor girl a hard time. So, and one of she was asking these questions like, do you have AAA or do you have a small business? I said, yeah, we have a small business. And so when the manager came out, he said, so I see you have a small business. What kind of business do you have? And I said, well, we teach people how to leverage the internet to generate a residual income. And, and we're kind of, semi-retired. So I've just had plenty of time to investigate this phone. So I'm not really trying to give her a hard time, but this is just what I want.
I just want to buy a phone.
Buy a phone. And so we talked about the phone, and so he helped with a couple of things, and then he left, and she's finishing up some stuff, and so like 10 minutes later, he comes back, and he's like, "So tell me, how does this thing work with your internet business?" And so I talked to him a little bit about it, and he was a very friendly guy, very nice guy, and so he left us again, and like 10 minutes, 15 minutes later, he comes back out. So how did you get involved with this business? So I told him a little bit about my health story. And so we ended up, leaving with his card and a follow-up contact. So we're I'm following up with him. I've already sent him an email and he hadn't responded. So I'm going to call him tomorrow and make sure he got the email because it had a link in it. And it was his work email, so it may have gotten spammed. So I'm just going to call him tomorrow, and I'm inviting him to the Cullen Haskins UBP Thursday night. And talking to
AJ, T-shirt.
So what comes to mind there is the fortune is in the follow-up. Is it, had you not followed up with your customer, I mean, if we don't follow up with the customers, like I always say, when we have customers that we know order pretty regularly and then they don't order, Pip will toss it over my way so that I call them, because as a matter of fact, 2 of the people I called tonight were customers. Because I figure if they're customers, they like the product, I should call them and at least let them know there's a business, or who do they know? So good job.
So did you get a phone?
I was thinking that.
We did get a phone. Yep. And our activation fees waived.
There you go.
There you go. Buying a phone is like buying a car nowadays. It's crazy.
See, that's where I'm thankful that my phone comes from my JOB. So when it's time to upgrade, I just say, could you, send the email to the lady at corporate and say, can you send me a list of the current phones that I have to pick from?
Seriously, because I have to say, I mean, buying a phone is as much of a love as buying a car.
Just check your first bill to make sure they're not putting all those goofy charges on there, like,
Yeah, we had those discussions Saturday.
Yeah. That happened every time we would talk to a phone salesperson, and we'd say up front, we don't want these additional fees. And they guaranteed they wouldn't be on there. And then, of course, the first bill came, $6 for this, $3 for that.
And then they were never at the store when we went
Yeah,
back.
you go back to the store. They've been transferred over to East Jabip.
Yeah, well, that's what I told him, because the way he agreed to do the activation fee was he waived one on Saturday, and he said, and the other one, if your account is still active in 45 days. In 45 days, I'll waive the other one. I said, I want your personal phone number. If we come back here next week and you're not here, I want to know how to get in touch with you, because you're going to owe me.
That's right. Yeah, stay on top of that one. So, very good. Anybody have anything else tonight? I know that Carl and I have been on the phone for 3 hours.
Yeah, I'm a little hungry.
I bet you are. I bet you are. All right. Well, I encourage all of you, we will be meeting again next Monday via Zoom at 7 o'clock, 6 o'clock your time, right, Carl? Or 6:30?
6:30.
6:30. 6:30 Central Time, 7:30 Eastern Time.
Yep.
For call workshop. And for all of you that I have Zoom sessions with over the next few days, obviously we are set with those. And if you get any more appointments, just let us know and we'll get those Zooms taken care of and on the books. And if you have any questions moving forward, we will keep you posted as soon as we learn anything regarding regional or anything like that coming up.
Okay, sounds good.
All right. Have a good week, everybody.
All right, thank you.
Stay safe and stay healthy.
Thank you, you
Be
too.
well.
Thanks.
Thank you.